This is going to be my last Burning Crusade investment video before this upcoming expansion. Today I'll show all my different bank characters, and there's quite a few of these. What you gotta be aware of is that at the release of the Anniversary Realms, I quickly leveled a mage to 60 on the hardcore server. On the hardcore server, materials were so cheap for a long time, and all I did was simply just to spend all the gold instead of buying epic mount. What I purchased were items for Burning Crusade, because I knew I were not really going to play Classic at all, at least not until the pre-patch where I will be playing Adrenal Shaman. Burning Crusade is my most favorite expansion, and it's also exactly why I did start on the Anniversary servers, and why I didn't want to spend time gearing up another character, as I felt like it was a waste of time and gold. Instead, I spent my time working on Burning Crusade guides, and the gold I spent on different investments that I'm about to show you. Be aware, I also leveled up alchemy on my level 60 mage, and once in a while sold a transmute cooldown for around 5 gold. Then I transferred all my characters from the hardcore server to the PvE server, as things are going to be more expensive here, and because I'll also be playing Burning Crusade on this server. The free action potion will still stay relevant, also for some of the upcoming raids. This is also the same case with magic dust, especially when we're going to progress in heroics, where you might need a bit more CC. I've also purchased a few elixir of demon slaying. There's quite a few demons in Outland and in some of the different raids, and the amount of attack power provided is absolutely insane compared to anything else in the game. I've also purchased quite a few enchanting materials, the reason being that this profession becomes so much better, especially because once we get to a higher level, we can unlock different ring enchants, and you're required to be an enchanter to get these. For example, bonus healing, spell damage, stats, and also melee damage. Another thing to be aware of is that you will now need to level up enchanting in order to disenchant higher level items, another reason for why I've stacked up on these things. The new profession dual crafting will be introduced, requiring you to get ores, bars, and also many different gems. Luckily, I've been able to purchase most of these for the same as vendor price, or at least very close to. We gotta remember that people knew from the beginning that we would at some point also be getting Burning Crusade. This was not the same case the first time Classic launched, so more people have definitely also been preparing materials for Burning Crusade, which is why it is also risky to be investing like I do, especially with the current prices, and I could even see a crash happening as we're getting closer to the pre-patch if way too many people are preparing the way I do. I've also purchased almost 5,000 golden sandsum. This classic herb is needed in Burning Crusade to craft an insane potion that provides a lot of bonus healing. My average buy price has been below 2 silver each. I've not been investing too much gold into leather, basically because as I'm making this video we still don't know if there's going to be drum changes to leather working. If I don't end up making a decent profit, then I'll just be using the leather myself on my upcoming shaman. Therefore, I'm also waiting for more news before I'm going to be investing into too much leather. Mithril bars are currently one of my biggest investments, sitting at around 6,600 of these. The reason being that when people were farming Mara, but also not really leveling up blacksmithing, these were selling for around 10 to 15 silver each. I found it so cheap, especially because I remember back in Burning Crusade, these were selling for around 1 gold each. So I felt like it was way too cheap. Also because as people are going to level up in Burning Crusade, they don't really want to go back, and if they feel like they go back to classic content to farm this, well then they will also soon realize that there's so much competition. Also for the ores that you will be melting into the bars. So ores I've actually purchased more of, because they were cheaper and sometimes I got them for less than 10 silver each. For those of you wondering, my average buy price has been 11 silver and 57 copper. As I'm making this video in November, the current prices is around 2.5 to 3 times as expensive. Definitely not a bad investment so far, but I know the prices will continue to increase. Basically because blacksmithing is becoming such an important profession. Almost all melee classes would like to go as a weaponsmith, so when there's going to be a high demand for mithril ores and bars, then the price will also be increasing. And this is probably going to be in the pre-patch when many people are swapping professions. Worst case, I just end up prospecting the different mithril ores, as a lot of those gems will also be pretty expensive. Before I talk about my next investment, then I would also like to highlight that you gotta be aware that there is a high chance you could potentially also end up losing a lot of gold when you do these investments. I'm not a professional in any way, and remember I also purchased my items back in phase 1 when the price were next to nothing. Luckily, I do of course have my old data and also old clips from Burning Crusade 2021 where I sold everything at the start, so I got a knowledge about what price to expect. In the beginning of Classic Anniversary, many mages also farm Sulfur Rag. Yeah, some in fact still do this, which is why I purchased Flask of Mojo for around 2.5 silver each, basically the same as vendor price, and these are going to be needed for dual crafting. Worst case, I just end up vendoring them, but as I'm recording this video, the price is already 4 times as expensive. But if you pay attention, then a lot of these are not even going to be a stack of 20, so I could see the price quickly raising when there's going to be a high demand, as you honestly need quite a few Flask of Mojo to level up dual crafting. The only reason why there might not end up being a big price increase is because way too many people also got bank characters with these materials. I've also purchased quite a few silver bars and true silver bars, around 3,500 silver bars. Who knows if it's going to pay off. I have paid around 2.5 times as much than vendor price, so 2.5 silver for each of these. The reason being that as dual crafter you will also need quite a few of these and also some true silver bars. Luckily, silver bars are already a lot more expensive, but I still keep these as I feel like I can make a way bigger profit. I'm unsure how true silver bars will evolve, but my average price has been 16 silver. I've also stacked up on some lower level bars. There's 3 professions needing these: dual crafting, engineering and blacksmithing, so lower level bars might also at some point be in high demand. What I did myself were just to level mining, or well, to learn mining on my mage, and then purchase the ores as these were usually a bit cheaper, and melt them into bars. I've also purchased stones. These are also needed for blacksmithing, engineering and dual crafting, and many dual crafters will need these as they're recommended in many different guides. In fact, even in my own dual crafting guide, as it's a cheap and also efficient way to quickly level up your profession. The next thing could of course be an investment, but in my case it's just going to be preparations for my upcoming shaman. But there might also be some of these items, and of course also items for paladins, that might be increasing in price. So this is yet another thing you could also be looking into. With the introduction of Blood Elf Paladin, there might also be a need for Skullflame Shield, as it's insane for gold farming, but I feel like they're already way too expensive. I've found an old clip where I used to purchase these in phase 6 for around 251 gold each, and I purchased 5 of them and sold them for around 700 gold each. Alright, so on my channel you can find so many more useful Burning Crusade guides, for example leveling, preparation, tips and tricks, yeah, things you just don't want to miss. And soon I'll release a lot more useful guides, so make sure to also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you get notified when I post these. As always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.